Welcome to the Care Right podcast, your go-to resource for all things elder care. Guiding us through this journey is Annalee Kruger, the founder of Care Right Incorporated, and she has been steadfastly supporting families across the United States. Each episode brings you expert insights, innovative strategies, and practical advice, ensuring that you're well equipped to provide the best possible care for your loved ones. Expect to gain valuable knowledge, learn from real-life stories, and get inspired to take action in your own caregiving journey. So buckle up as we dive into an in-depth discussion of elder care planning and together embrace the journey of caring for aging loved ones on the Care Right podcast.
Hey, I'm Annalee Kruger, the owner of Care Right Incorporated. We work with families across the United States developing customized aging plans. Our families, our clients, are usually burned out family caregivers who have been mom and dad's assisted living for a long time, and they're just burned out, and they are looking for care solutions and improving family relationships. One would hope the aging process brings families together, but I'm here to tell you that it often does not. Everybody has their own idea of what quality of life means, how safe mom and dad are, and how their inheritance should be spent, and how the care should be delivered at home or in a care community type setting. So we help families sort out what their options are, and then they have much better peace of mind and much better care solutions and care outcomes, and their family relationships improve. Shortly after I started Care Right in 2011, I started marketing Care Right services to financial planners, and very, very, very quickly learned that many financial planners are simply not addressing aging issues. They're not addressing caregiver burnout. And so I connected with Bob Mauderstock. We were both speaking at an FPA meeting, and we partnered together and built Plan for Life Now with the number 4. So Plan, the number 4, Life Now. And we together created an elder planning specialist designation certification worth 10 CEs through the National CFP board. The Elder Planning Specialist program breaks down things that financial planners need to start addressing with their aging clients. We teach advisors about family caregiver burnout, and why that matters to a financial planner is if their daughter Sally is the client, for example, or the client is daughter Sally, and she feels like she needs to take early retirement or quit her job or take a more menial position so that she has the flexibility to be a family caregiver. That impacts assets under management. If your client as a financial planner is Marvin, and he is a self-neglect case at home because he's missing his appointments, not taking his meds, he's not drinking enough water, he's falling, he's losing weight because he's not eating. You as an advisor are in a unique position to make sure that he has enough solutions and care supports at home so that he doesn't prematurely end up in a nursing home just simply because no one cared enough to make sure that he had proper care in place at home. So Elder Planning Specialist program is a 10-hour CE program for CFPs. You can learn more about that at www.plan4lifenow.com. Today, I am really excited because I have known these two gentlemen for years. I don't know, 5, 6-ish years probably. Yeah. So I'd like to introduce Damien and Leigh, and I'm going to let you guys take it from here. Tell everybody what you do, what's going on with you, and what you have for solutions for these financial planners that are listening to this podcast.
Okay. Do you want to start, Leigh?
I'll let you go. You go, Damien.
All right. So my name is Damien Conway, and I work with Leigh. We formed a small company, and we're looking to bring back to the United States an option or a program that will allow people to pay for care when they're at that point of crisis. So Leigh and I both worked for a UK-based company before, and we brought this product to market in the US up until 2019 with a US-based carrier. We are now bringing this product back with the aid of a global reinsurer and a US-based carrier. What the product is an immediate care annuity. It's an individually underwritten annuity And what it means, or what it does in essence, is it means that you can give people the option to know that a known amount of money will last an unknown amount of time. Leigh, do you want to chip in, and then we can?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Damien. So Damien and I have worked together for a number of years on the immediate care plan. My history is 30 years of financial services in the UK and in the US. And as Damien says, we're now bringing the immediate care plan, which is single premium immediate annuity, back into the US with a US carrier that we now have. The product itself is now filed across 43 states already within the US. So primarily what we are doing and what the product does, and this is why we work so closely with Annalee, is it helps people at a point of crisis when somebody requires to go into a community to receive care at home, and what that looks like when it comes to the financial side of things. Very few people reflect on the financial side initially. They look at what needs and what requirements are needed for mum or dad or whoever it is that's receiving care. And by the time that they come to actually figuring out what they need to do the financial side of things, it comes down to generally two options. And the first option is they'll sell the property and they'll use the proceeds of that to pay for the care. And the kids who are looking after mum or dad in that particular assisted living facility, whatever it is, they basically get to a point where they just hope and pray that mum or dad dies before the money runs out. That's pretty much the situation. Alternatively, money is gifted away sometimes years before anybody needs care. And knowing full well that the system, i.e. Medicaid, will pick up that individual if they require care. And Medicaid, when you look at it now, so many more communities, so many more home health companies are not utilizing Medicaid because it's not enough to cover the costs of what they need to be paid for. So realistically, the market that we look at is those people that do have money to afford and can afford to pay for care. We want to put in, using this particular annuity, a stop loss, which takes away all of the heartache, all of the major question of, am I going to run out of money when I'm paying for care? By using something like an immediate care plan, by having that knowledge to be able to talk to clients about what it does, is it creates a stop loss for somebody running out of money. That's effectively what we're bringing to market. And again, that's why we've known Annalee for many years, is that we have a real synergy that very few financial planners really have the right understanding about what goes on in the later life market, but more importantly, knowing what is out there to be able to utilize to help clients that are going through that particular journey.
I think it's important to note, to note too, I don't know why I'm getting so much background right now. I think it's important to note too that, you know, I don't think, it doesn't seem that most financial advisors or financial planners really know about aging. They don't know about diminished capacity, as they call it, diminished capacity. In healthcare, we just call it dementia. But and they certainly, with the pandemic, I don't think that most of them fully appreciate the quality of care has plummeted. It wasn't great before the pandemic, and now it's plummeted. So from a financial planner perspective, why you should care about that is because the cost of care has pretty much doubled. So home care used to be anywhere from $21 to $28 per hour before the pandemic. Now I've got clients paying $45 and $60 an hour, but that does not mean that you have a $45 or $60 an hour quality trained companion, right? That just means you have the same companion that you had before, you just paid more for it now. So from a financial planning perspective, you need to start talking about aging issues and the cost of care. The cost of care has always been an issue. The biggest risk of your clients' portfolio is their aging years, because that's where things get really expensive really quick. And families, your clients, assume that Medicare is going to pay for everything, and it simply does not. And so the thought of, well, we'll just get the clients this far with their finances and then let them go on Medicaid is a terrible business philosophy, because when your clients go on Medicaid, they have lost all control of the type of care that they can get and who the providers are that they can work with. Leigh, you are spot on. Even here in the Naples, Florida market, we used to have like 8 or 10 facilities, 8 or 10 assisted livings that would contract with Medicaid. After the pandemic, now we only have like 3 care communities locally that contract with Medicaid. So where are all those other people going to go? Right? They're going to end up going hours away from where their families live, because that's where there might be an open bed. So we have a real problem. And financial planners, you are all in a unique position to start identifying and addressing and calculating your retirement, your client's portfolio totally differently, because you now have to budget twice as much for care. And now you have to also budget people like me, a professional patient advocate. So you have to, and that's not cheap, right? Because we get all these calls all the time about the quality of care. And so you have to now budget other professionals that have to be added to the care team, like geriatric care managers, like patient advocates. You also have to start budgeting in electric scooters and all those things that Medicare is starting to cut back on more and more. So just as an example, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking with another family member who, typical healthcare fashion, it's like, oh, your husband had a major stroke and good luck to you, because that's pretty much, unfortunately, how healthcare is they throw these like whopping diagnoses on families, and then it's like, okay, well, good luck sorting all this out. So she needed to delay working with me to put an aging plan in place under CareRight, under my CareRight umbrella, because she just had to spend like $3,200 on a scooter for her husband last week. And I said, just out of curiosity, has your financial planner talked to you about any of this type of stuff? Because her husband had the stroke 3 years ago, major stroke 3 years ago. She tried to, because she's the caregiver, so she's been taking care of him and working, and he's a tall guy and she's short. And so she went to help transfer him from one place to the next, like bed to chair. And he's wobbly because he's got poor balance from the stroke. And so she grabbed him by his, gait belt, and he toddled backwards and broke 4 of her fingers. Right. And so I asked her, I said, do you have a financial planner? She goes, oh yeah. And I said, has your financial planner ever in the last 3 or 4 years since your husband had this major stroke, have they ever talked to you about care options, how to pay for care? She's still working. She has to work. And she goes, no. And I said, that's exactly my point. So for the financial planners that are out there listening to this podcast, take heed with what Damien and Leigh are talking about with different products, and be creative with how are we going to fund the care, because I'm telling you, your clients are going to live longer than they've ever lived. But that doesn't mean that they're having the best, that they're going to have the best lifestyle, because they're going to have medical issues that come up, and those are going to be very costly.
I think that's incredibly right, Annalee. We know that people are living longer, but what's happening is that a good proportion of the time that they're living longer, they're not in great health, so they will need extra care, or they may need care, and they may have to fund that care. So when people are starting to look at how you plan for retirement and how you plan to live, potentially somebody at 65 could live another 30 years. That's so different to what it was like in my parents' generation. When they retired, their life expectancy was probably 5-10 years after retirement. It's so different now. And if you then factor in that potentially you may have to pay for care for somebody partway through that, that's a massive thing. And what we hope to bring, which will June, July of this time through a US carrier, is an opportunity where there will be another financial planning solution. You can start to secure portfolios by taking, as Leigh was talking about, a stop loss product that will, manage to confirm that people will have enough money to pay for those care costs for forever. So you're quite right. I think the scenario is changing. People are living longer, which is a great thing. It's something we should all be, we should all be grateful for, because it's a much better place to be. But what we have to think about is how we fund those finances in those later years. It's a massively changing market. Yeah.
And we also need to, as advisors, and we teach this in the elder planning specialist program too, but develop a relationship with your client and their family, and not just focus your meetings with your client on portfolio management and ask, not to just focus on portfolio, because guess what? Consumers want to talk about what's really going on that is affecting their portfolio. So as advisors, if you start asking questions of your clients, like, this is my favorite one I have that we teach in the class. Is there anything in your personal life that's affecting your health, your ability to earn a living, and your well-being? Because if you ask that one simple question, even though there's a 3-part question to it, if you ask that one simple question, or you can ask, are you a family caregiver? Because if you ask that question, then that opens up a whole nother opportunity for you to add value and be a resource to your clients and say, you know what, that sounds really overwhelming. That sounds like you have a lot on your plate, and I can understand how you're not wanting to take that job promotion, or you're thinking about taking early retirement because you have to be available to take care of your aging parents. There are solutions right here in this podcast. That client needs an aging plan. That's what I do. They also need, how are they going to pay for their care solution? And that's what Damien and Leigh do.
Absolutely.
So
I was going to say, just to those list of questions, we would add just one, which is, are you also a power of attorney for somebody else? Because that absolutely opens up a wealth of other options, and a wealth of planning that needs to happen as well for other family members.
Yeah, and as a power of attorney, that's part of your role is helping with paying bills. And so you want to make sure that there are funds available, and Medicaid should be the last resort, not if they run out of money, we'll just do that, because they absolutely lose control over the quality of care that they're going to get.
For sure.
Absolutely.
How can people find you? Like with the advisors that are listening to this podcast, and this will go on the Plan for Life website as well. And this will go out to the advisors that I have in my network, and it'll also go out on LinkedIn. So for people that hear the podcast and they're like, you know what, I want to hear more about this solution, and how can people connect with you?
So we can give you an email address at present, and from that, people can get in contact with us, and we can share some more detail on who the carrier is, when the launch is, which we're expecting to be summer, so June, July time this year. And we can share some of the brochureware and application form. So we can provide an email address now, which is, shall I do that? So it's Damien, Damien, at Vidale, Vidale, marketinggroup.com. And Leigh is the same end, but Leigh, Leigh, at vidalemarketinggroup.com.
And
you can find us both on LinkedIn as well. So we're on there. We're on LinkedIn all the time as well. So send us a message either through Damien or through myself as well on LinkedIn.
And we have when we go to publish this is a recording, but when we go to publish this, we have your contact information too, that will go out in the newsletter as well. So any closing remarks?
Leigh?
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very, very quick question is I know financial planners they talk about one particular word, a connected word, which is intergenerational. If you really truly want to be intergenerational, you need to look after your clients' parents as well. For those of you that have portfolios that look after assets under management, you may well have your clients' assets under management that you're looking after. You should also have their parents' assets under management as well, and be able to look after those when they need care. You will be a massive and integral part of this jigsaw that will help out with the stress points of your clients. So, please, please, please look at the later life market. We are here to help. We can tell you how to do it.
Well, and that's a good point, Leigh, because it doesn't matter if, as an advisor, your client base or your book of business is the adult children age group, like that 40 plus. You have an opportunity here. You're leaving, those that are not addressing these issues are leaving tons of money on the table, because if your book of business is primarily the 40 plus, you need to be capturing that their parents, right? Are you a family caregiver? Is there anything impacting your personal life that's affecting anything else in your life? That's your opportunity to say, you know what? I would love to facilitate a family meeting. Let's get your parents on Zoom, or if you're still all just doing face-to-face and local stuff. But either way, you've got to get that. You've got to start facilitating family meetings and have relationships with your clients, but also their families. If your book of business is the Ethels and the Marvins age, the 80 to 90, your book of business has aged out, so to speak. You need to be talking to them about diminished capacity. How are you doing at home? Are you making it to your doctor's appointments? Who is your trusted contact? Who can I notify? And, hopefully then they'll give you their adult kids' names. And then that's when you develop the relationship with the whole family, because we all know it's just common sense, right? If you're dealing with mom and dad, if you're dealing with the Ethel and the Marvin as their financial planner, and Ethel and Marvin pass away, or one of them passes away, those kids are going to move that account that you spent your entire career developing, because simply you did not develop a relationship with the family, and the kids will be in charge after mom or dad pass away. So there's tons of tidbits in this podcast, and you're probably like, holy smokes, where should I start? All of them. So all of your clients need to learn about this product and the solution that Damien and Leigh are talking about. All of your clients need an aging plan. They all need a neutral third-party person to help them navigate what their care options are. That's me under Care Right. You all need to start developing relationships with the whole family so that you have that extra, easy word of mouth referral, and still be able to provide the services that you want to be able to provide to the whole family, and not just mom and dad, or not just the daughters or sons. So lots of content in this short podcast, but that's how I like to do it. Give everybody the 1-2 punch. Lots to think about. So excellent. All right. Well, I have, do you want to just do your last names too, so that when they do look for you on LinkedIn, they can find you?
I'm Damien Conway.
And I am Leigh Maynard. That's Leigh Maynard, Maynard.
And that should be able to get them where they need to go to find you.
It will do, yes. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yep. It's kind of like me. There's not a lot of Annalee Krugers on LinkedIn.
No, absolutely. No, thank you for the opportunity to talk, Annalee.
You bet.
Really enjoyed it. And please reach out if you want to hear a little bit more.
Excellent. Very good. All right.
Thank you for tuning in to the Care Right podcast. We hope today's discussion has provided you with valuable insights. If so, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our podcast with others who might find it helpful. Remember, Care Right is more than just a podcast. It's a community dedicated to supporting family caregivers with comprehensive care planning, crisis management, and resources for every stage of aging. Stay connected with us for future episodes as we continue to explore essential topics in aging planning, elder care, and financial planning. Until next time, take care, plan wisely, and remember, you're not alone in your caregiving journey.